back and her curved thing. So, but what did she do? She took the duku and made codes. So this is a code. Whatever happens, they make a code. One of them wait for me at the corner. So boyfriend, girlfriend, if you are on a TV station and she wants to go out with one of the others and they don't want you to know, so she will put on the duku saying, wait for me at the corner. And she will come proudly. And the boyfriend that he has in your midst will know, okay, I shall go to the corner. And then before you know, she vanished and you might not know why they were dancing. And then in the modern day, this one is like the VW car. The back of it, look at it.
Yeah.
That is it. So when it came into fashion, it was known, popular in the country. They call it otobaka, the back of the car. And they made the duku for it when you go on. And they have one of pride. I had one like the, the peacock. I have one which is the peacock head tie, because it's your pride. The peacock is a bird of pride. So they have the peacock. Do we have peacock in Suriname? No. Because of their African heritage, they know of the peacock. So, and the other one, I have one, if you see my picture with your president, the one I have, it says, let them talk. That is the one that I put on when I was presenting my credentials. Yes. So there's a lot to learn. And even this, the knot, is for the Maroons to tell you you are well-mannered when it's flat. But when it's not flat, it is turned the other way around. Like this. They say it's chicken butt. You are not polite, you don't have manners. So it will always be flat when you put it on. Even when he does it, he needs to do it that way. So when someone does not do it like that, you don't have manners. All this job where you have to live with God in everything you do. And I have another program on a Friday that is called Women Today. And in all learning. So I have to speak about what women are doing. So every Friday I did interview a lot of Ghanaian Christians and pastors. So I translated to all language. So thank you. Okay.
We'll have to say something soon on camera to invite people since you can. And you mentioned
you have cocoa, you have coffee, and you have also the lumber where they cut trees to sell and make them get wealthier in Europe. What happened in slavery time? The Surinamese ran away. Those who were enslaved in Suriname, they are Maroons. But the name Maroon is not known for Suriname. It's known for Jamaica and for Brazil. Why? Because in Suriname, they didn't want to call those who ran away the runaways Maroons. They gave them nicknames. And one of the nicknames was Juka. And Juka means Jewish waste. So when you call them Juka, they get angry up until today. Say, I'm not Jewish waste. Don't call me Juka. Why is that? Because one of the group that settled themselves at a big river called Maruena and Tapanaoni River, two rivers. You have two tribes, and one is the Maruena River and the Tapanahoni River. The Tapanahoni River, they call it Njuka. So Njuka, those who could not pronounce Njuka say Juka. And Ju is Jews. And Ka is waste. So when you say Juka, they don't want to listen. So they gave all the 6 tribes the name. They would call all of them the Jukas, and everybody will get vexed. And the other name they gave to them in the books of the history books and so is Bush Negro. Bush Negro. And then they changed that name to Bushland Creole. Bushland Creole. So Creoles that live in the bush.
That's very offensive.
Right? So they could not read and write. So they didn't engage with the Dutch language. So those who knows the language, when they go abroad and talk, if they are in the news, they say, oh, we have Jukas there. Even anthropologists would write in their studies Juka, right? Or Bush Negro, or Bushland Creole. You understand? That's why Suriname is not known. But they, as far as I know, they are the only one that kept chieftaincy like it was in Africa in 6 big rivers. Even the names that they have, I know one of the first one in the eastern tribe that they call Njuka, that lives at the Njuka River. They call that river Njuka. So they say the Njuka people because you come from the Njuka River. So you can call them Njuka, but never say Juka.
Juka people.
Njuka people, because it's derogative if you say Juka. But those who don't know say, okay. And you know, you get vexed, so I will continue calling you Juka.
Yeah, just to provoke you.
To provoke you.
Okay.
And it is still there up until this day. But then the young people of the 90s, education start in that region in the early 1960s or the 1950s, because these people didn't want to know anything about Western education. But now the central tribes called Samaka at the upper Suriname River, they started with education earlier. So they could speak a bit Dutch and could understand, and some of them were the first one to become a doctorandus, which is the university title for the Dutch university, doctorandus. So you have a lot of them. They were role models for all the maroon people. But then in the 90s, some young men went to the university, right? The other tribes, they reached the university, and they choose to call themselves Maroons. And I'm from the generation before them. So I was like, I'm not a Maroon, because Maroons are runaway beasts. I'm not a Maroon. Just call me Bushland Creole. Even in my research that I did on the education, I'm a sociologist by profession. So, and I never wrote down Maroon. It is Bushland Creole. Creole, not Negro, because I'm not a Negro. You need Negro is people that you don't want to talk to, you don't care about. That was in my mind. So no Negro, but Creole sounds better, right? So I wrote about Bushland Creole. But these young people, they would invite me when they were organizing seminars, and they would invite me as one of the senior Maroon, one of the first ones in the eastern part to graduate from the university, right? There were other people, but in my specific region, I was the number one to graduate from the university. So you see, young people would invite you to come and tell them, motivate them, and so, and they call themselves Maroons. And they gave me an assignment to write down what the meanings of the names that they gave the Maroons were. And there is where they changed me in calling myself Maroons. There was another man, a scientist, a psychologist called Mr. Julian Witt. He wrote a book and said, yes, I'm a Maroon. And I didn't like that book at all. And oh, I love it, right? Because when I'm a Maroon, meaning you could not keep me in a cage. I freed myself like how animals that could free themselves and go out there in the wild where God created them to be. So I freed myself and went into the a forest to live as free men and still call myself Africans. So as soon as they go into the forest, they take their African name. And one of them was a very popular one. He was enslaved in Jamaica, and then they sold him to Suriname, and then he fled slavery in Suriname. The first thing he did, he called himself a Jacko. That was his name. And then they used to call him Baston Benti because his English name was Boston Bant. And then he said, I'm Baston Benti a Jacko. And that is his African name. So Ajako means he comes from a region where the names are Ajako. And then one of the leaders' name was Yao, Thursday born. And they still have those names up until today. In Suriname, some become family name. Apia is not a foreign name for us. Right? It's not a foreign name. And when I came to Ghana, I discovered that the paramount chief of the tribe Njuka River tribe, their tribal name is Okanisi. And I hear is a name here in Ghana, Okansi. I thought they took it from a plantation, Oka. But I know Oka is not close to Okanisi. And when I came here, they say Okansi. I say, okay, that must be the origin. And names like Tamale is a village. Tamale is a village in Suriname. And it's a region. And they have the Damba festival.
Yes.
And it is a last name of people I know that are my cousins. Their last name is Damba. And I know last names of a big sister of my grandmother. Her name was Mando. Mando and Danso. No, Mando was another lady's name. Danso was my grandmother's big sister name. And her grandchildren have that name as their last name. So you have a lot of Danso in Suriname. And you have Ajumako.
Yeah, Ujumako, yeah.
Is a big village in Suriname.
It's also a village
In Suriname.
It's also in the village.
You have Fanti.
Yeah.
Well, so meaning Fantis were there too. And I hear my grandmother name, I recently hear that Tumu is in the north, was my father's mother's name, Tumu. And I hear, you know, Ajo. Ajo is an Ewe word. And my mother's name was Majo. And I hear is a girl born on Monday. I never knew that it was like that. So we think you give the names, it sounds Africans, but it's a Maroon name. That's all you will say it, a Maroon name. But coming to Africa, of your cultural question, in food we still kept the food, and in names we still kept it, because the paramount chief of the Okanisi people, his name is a tribe name in Ghana. I learned when I came here, Bono region. Well, it's the first name of the Gamang, the paramount chief of the Okanisi people.
Meaning all the tribes in Ghana and most of the key paramount chiefs, you have the name in Suriname.
Oh yes, we have Abena. Abena
That's where
is a last name because most likely they take the name from the grandmother. Abena. You have Kwasiba. You have Afiba. You have a lot of names, Afi, Yaba, name it. It's the African Suriname Society.
Excellency, we'll go for a commercial break. When we come back, we continue with our conversation. Welcome back from that quick commercial break. I have with me Her Excellency Fidelia here. Madam, let's talk about your plans to link up Suriname and Ghana in terms of culture, heritage, and our tradition. Do you have any plans in linking up with Ghana and Suriname?
There is a long-standing plan in Suriname to link up with Ghana. They always mention Ghana, especially the African Suriname Society. Always mention Ghana, always want to be in Ghana, always say they are Ghanaians, and what they say they are Ashantis because of the names and what you hear, fearless, and so. So there is an agreement signed with the Ghana government, both governments, and that is what I represent. And the three objectives for Ghana-Suriname diplomatic relation is cultural exchange, culture, tourism, and entrepreneurship. So these are very key elements to have a relationship because Ghana wants to grow their economy in the relationship, and we want to grow our economy too in relationship. And Suriname has a diaspora program, and Ghana has a diaspora program. We learned in 2019 when the embassy was established in Ghana, you had Ghana proclaiming 2019 the year of return, right? Back then, I was working with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, but I was ambassador before in Trinidad and Tobago. In 2015, I went back to Suriname. So I was doing my non-governmental work as well. We have a Maroon Women Network. And then what we did together with Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago, and the United States, we formed a group, went to the United States. I am the founder of that group. We call it Maroon Women Chamber of Cooperation. Why chamber? Because men are included, but we women take the lead. But men are included, and they are equally invaluable members of the group because they contribute. So we went to the United Nations, and there we took picture at the monument that Ghana gave to the United Nations for reparation reasons. And they call you go to the way of no return and a way of return. And I experienced that in 2019. So cultural exchange brings in entrepreneurship. And what did we do in the embassy? In 2022, I came in February, and in December 2022, I got an invitation of an association that was being promoted, that is the Royal Chiefs Association. And I went to that event and I loved it. And the Royal Chiefs Association are chiefs of communities, large and small communities. Some overlords are in it, but you don't have the paramount chiefs in it. So these are chiefs that are working. Each of them has their own paramount chiefs. So I went there and I saw it, and what they wanted is to educate, cultural education, respect, and so on, and tourism was in it, and I was like, okay, I have a platform. So and some people would come to the embassy, introduce themselves to us, and we had a dinner, the embassy's dinner for the purpose of cultural exchange, tourism, and entrepreneurship. So we invited entrepreneurs, we invited musicians, we invited movie stars, and we invited the Royal Chief Association organization. We were in the Kapinski Hotel. We had about 48 people representing the different groups, and there the platform formed. But in one of them, one chief, the last one who spoke, had a question for me. It's a tall chief. He says, I am the Chamba chief, and I want to ask Your Excellency how far Grenada is from Suriname, because Chambas were shipped to Grenada. And when he finished, I told him, Chief, you don't have to go to Grenada. I have a Chamba person right here from Suriname. It was a lady who was telling me all the time that her grandfather was Chamba, her grandmother was Chamba, and I didn't understand the Chamba thing. I didn't know it was a tribe in Ghana. And the chief of that tribe was invited to in the program. So he was invited as chief, but not as Chamba, right? Yeah. So it was an emotional reparation, because that lady that was there on vacation from Suriname, her father, but we have the Matri system in Suriname. So because her mother is not a Chamba, she's not a Chamba, but her father is Chamba, so she has Chamba blood. And then she said, okay, someone you and I know is a Chamba. His mother is Chamba, and I believe later on the Chamba will speak for themselves. And I believe you're a TV station, you will speak with the Chamba chief, and he will explain how that reparation came about. So what we want is this platform, it can get bigger. We want the media to be in our platform as well, so that the media can tell the story both in Suriname and in Ghana and in Africa. Because there are Nigerian words that we use, Yoruba. We use a word in the African Surinamese society called Jaja. And I hear Jaja was a king of the Yoruba tribe that could kill animals with his bare hands, like lion and tiger. He was a very strong, fearless king. But in Suriname, when you say you're Jaja, meaning you're fearless. So that's how we know that in West Africa, we have people there that were shipped. And I can tell you, to work in entrepreneurship and in tourism and in music and the industry of the actors, they can help build the relationship. When we start doing theater together, when we start making movies together, because the stories are similar. And when you come back to Africa, you see yourself. It's like watching yourself in a mirror. Because I believe when Africans sees me, if I don't speak, you do not know I'm not a Ghanaian. And I'm not saying that because we want to have some, it should benefit balance in entrepreneurship and tourism. Because when Europeans and Americans come to our country, when they go to the tribal regions of Suriname, the 6 regions, they say it's Africa outside of Africa. The drum, do you know the drums? You know a drum name called apinti? Okay, you know a bird called opete? Did you teach me it? No. Opete is the same opete you have here, the same name, opete. And the apinti drum is the talking drum, because they still talk with the drum in their dance style, and when they do certain stuff, you send a coded message. And you see, what do I have?
When it comes to some of the African leaders who always see corruption as a good practice.
Opinion, I don't think. Maybe they don't mean corruption. Maybe there's another connotation for being good. I don't know. I don't want to comment on African leaders, but I want to say, let us be let us keep our integrity up high. Of my father would say, whenever you steal, don't carry my name again. In relationship. It doesn't matter if they call it politics. It doesn't matter if they call it church. It doesn't matter if they call it culture. But be sincere, be pure, so that the good things will come your way. Let Africa be Africa. Let Africa be the example of good, best practices. And Suriname wants to be the one as well, because there was malaria in Suriname, but the malaria that is coming in, one of the MDGs that Suriname reads is that we beat malaria on a certain level. And we're developing for 2 years to declare Suriname malaria free. But some things might happen. So let us do good things together. That's what I want to say.
So finally, do you have any message for Ghanaians watching and Surinamers also watching? Do you have a final message for them?
My message is, because I know Ghanaians don't know Suriname, go and Google and find out about Suriname. I know Suriname is the United States, United Nation of the world. A small population, but we have Asians, we have Africans, we have Europeans, we have everyone in this world living in Suriname, and it is only 600,000. So they say 500, but it's 500 to 600,000. And we speak, as I counted, the indigenous language and the languages that came into Suriname, about 24 different languages. So please come and see the United Nations, and all the foods in the world you can find is the finest food. I want to ask Ghanaians, let us know one another. You might never know, like how the Chamba chief found his relatives after 400 years of enslavement and freedom and everything. They reunited. So please, you never know what it will bring, but I believe it will bring good things, right? To Ghana, to yourself, in education. Let university students, I want to call on the young people, start studying the diaspora, especially Suriname.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for your time.
I thank you for the time you took to come and make us speak out, because we have a t-shirt here in the embassy in Dutch. We niet spreekt, wordt niet gehoord. That is Dutch. What does it mean? Those who do not speak out will never be heard. So thank you for assisting us in speaking out and introducing us to Ghana. We love you, Ghana, and I know you will love Suriname when you come.
Foka TV is very, very pleased to have you.
I'm very pleased to have Foka TV at the embassy, which is Suriname right now, of Suriname. We thank you. And in our national language, we would say, Grand Tangi for you. Grand Tangi for you. That is, thank you very much.
Okay, yes, so yeah, that's it. That is thank you in our language. Yeah, that's it.
And I say, may that say pa.
So this is Her Excellency Fidelia. That is, we had a conversation where she is the ambassador to Suriname, Ghana to Suriname, and we've had a long conversation. Our next interview is going to be another powerful person from Suriname. Thank you very much for watching.